So
let's get the unpleasantness out of the way.
Let's prepare ourselves here a little bit. So this happened while we were on our 1 week hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
Deadline reported that Star Wars: The Acolyte was canceled, right?
Specifically not being renewed for an additional season.
They said canceled. They were like, this is canceled. You make a good distinction, though, because if you're a streaming IP, or if you're a streaming service that owns an IP on that streaming service, it is nothing but bad business to say you're canceling something, right?
Yeah.
It's so much easier for you just to not say anything about it at all. Don't get me the wrong way. It is effectively canceled.
Yes.
Like that's the effect. But they're like, Lucasfilm isn't going to come out and say it. I think that Deadline and Hollywood Reporter talked to someone at Lucasfilm
who used that phrasing.
Right.
Even though Lucasfilm and Disney never officially announced any additional seasons for The Acolyte. So they're not technically canceling it, but they're canceling it.
And to put that into perspective, Andor was renewed for a second season before the first season aired.
For the first episode.
Yeah.
Before anyone outside of the Walt Disney Company had ever seen it.
Yeah. So I was a little worried about it when that didn't happen, because we know like they like
that's just like the standard that all Star Wars shows are going to be judged by.
Yeah.
But from this point on, I think.
So there's that whole thing, and there were some comments on a YouTube video that we did a couple weeks ago about like, you guys are a Star Wars channel, why like it's suspicious that you guys aren't talking about the Acolyte cancellation. Is it because you guys are woke and blah 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 blah? And it's like, well, first of all, we were on a 1 week hiatus, as I just famously said.
Yeah.
We just didn't have a show last week when it happened.
Yeah.
But also, can we call it what it is?
Okay.
A bunch of angry incel dumbasses got very loud on social media and ruined Star Wars for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Pretty much.
And I won't die on a hill and say that Acolyte is the best Disney Plus Star Wars show. In fact, you can go back to our video that we put out a couple weeks ago where we re-ranked all of our...
I think we put it somewhere in the middle.
Right in the middle where it belongs, I think, right?
Because it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's good in some ways. It could be improved in other ways.
Yeah.
And it's just overall a decent time.
Right. And this was a sentiment that was shared by Amanda Stenberg, who played May in OSHA, and said that she was not shocked about the cancellation of The Acolyte because, quotes, of a rampage of online hyper-conservative bigotry.
I think she's exactly correct.
There's like, show me where the lie is, because that's what it is. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, you've been hiding under a rock. And you don't understand like the online phenomenon that was the like.
If you're a Star Wars fan who doesn't interact with other Star Wars fans
online, which by the way, tell me how you do it, because that's fucking great.
But if you are, you might be shocked to learn that a lot of people who call themselves Star Wars fans are bigoted man babies.
Yeah. And their list of, it's funny. It's the same people who have been bitching about Star Wars Outlaws. Or like, well, I'm not playing that fucking game. I'd rather play a game where you could customize your own character. And it's like, but
no. You want to play as a male character.
Yeah.
Probably also a white male character, because that's the only way that your PP feels big.
Yeah. And it's like, you weren't saying any of this shit when Jedi Survivor came out.
No.
I wonder what the difference could have been.
I wonder.
Ahmed Best and John Boyega came to her defense online, which I thought was really nice.
Ahmed Best has probably the best perspective of anyone about this.
And Lucasfilm isn't going to tell him to shut up about it either.
No.
Because after everything he's been through, and the fan reception of him like showing up in The Mandalorian and shit.
Yeah, and people have fucking loved that.
Yeah. So they came to her defense. I think Ahmed Best said something to the effect of "Go off, Queen."
Yeah.
But it's really sad because like it's a story that I think they could have made better. That, like they could have tightened all the screws and made it a better story in season 2. As happens with shows after the first season.
The first season of almost every single show is very rarely the best.
Yeah.
Because showrunners learn more about the show they're doing, and everyone gets better at their jobs as you do it.
The actors figure the characters out a little bit more, and like everything just kind of,
it just all clicks together a little better.
There is a fan petition for renewal, Renew the Acolyte fan petition that has reached 60,000 signatures. I checked it earlier today.
Good for them.
That's quite a few people.
Fair number, yeah.
Just hours after that petition launched, a rival petition calling for a non-renewal, not to renew, has to date garnered 5,000 signatures. Which leads me to my next point, which is that the sniveling man babies of the world, the United States pretty much, love to get online and say something to the effect of, oh, well, a vast majority of Star Wars fans agree with me and my perspective. And it's not true. You were able to alter Rotten Tomatoes because of a coordinated bot attack. Yeah. That's confirmed. I mean, that is a thing that happened. And you'll notice now that Rotten Tomatoes has made changes so that can't happen again.
Oh, good.
Right.
Excellent.
That wasn't a vast majority of people. That was you and some other incels that
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. And it's not worth arguing people like this, because it's like, if you were to go to, that like the stereotypical, you go to Central Park and play chess in New York City. Yeah. Arguing with these guys is the same as doing that and going down and playing with a pigeon. And the pigeon just walks around and knocks all the pieces over and shits on everything and flies off and thinks that they won.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're doing here.
Yeah.
They're walking over the pieces, they're shitting everywhere, and they're flying off pretending like they won. And what sucks is that, like, Disney is sending, or Lucasfilm is sending the wrong message with this, which is that you gave in to the terrorists.
No,
that's what you did. You fucking gave in to the terrorists.
It's hard for me to 100% buy that, just because there are
the pigeon part or the other thing,
the giving into the terrorists part,
yeah.
Because there are business considerations that Disney, a corporation, is going to make.
Yeah.
They're going to look at it and say, okay, did the money we made from people subscribing to Disney Plus to watch this show, did that equal out our production costs? Can we project that forward to see what we're going to make from another season and what it'll cost to make that season?
Yeah.
So, like,
especially when they're trying to make those shows as thrifty as possible.
Yes. Disney Plus has never made money in the entire time they've run it. Like, it is drained so much money out of Disney's coffers that, like, it is the reason their previous CEO got fired and Bob Iger is back in charge.
Yeah. To be fair, and you're not going to see me weeping over a corporation not having anything work out, right? Because it's like, on one hand, I would like the second season of Acolyte, but on the other hand, it's like everything's burning down around you, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Streaming services generally don't do well on paper where cash flow is concerned. Netflix famously is like, I don't know, $10 billion in debt or something. Yeah. But they're more concerned about other metrics, like how many yearly subscribers, and getting that number. Like everything is about perpetual growth, despite the fact that it's impossible.
Not just that your numbers are bigger than last year, but that you're growing at a bigger rate than you did last year.
Yeah, it's insane that that's a metric we measure that shit by. And look, there are a couple, like, Acolyte's viewership was lower than the other Star Wars Disney Plus shows. That could be for a vast number of reasons. I'm sure some of it was that some people didn't like it, and that's fine. Yeah. Like we said, it was mid, right? It was
fine.
Right. So, like, I'm sure that there would be other Star Wars shows that got better viewership. And the other thing is, Acolyte's budget was insane. It was like $200 million, I think.
Oh, geez.
Like I think going toward $200 million. I'm going to look this up real quick because I want to make sure.
And assuming that's correct, it's very hard to assume that anyone...
$180 million.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So and whether there were how many episodes? 8?
I believe so. So that's
22.5 million per episode. And look, the show looked better than like Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett.
It looked good. It had good actors.
But it did not look $22 million, nearly $23 million an episode better, right? Yeah. It didn't look like House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones or, oh my God, dude.
We'll get there in a few minutes, but
I can't believe how good that show looks. It's just insane how good it looks. So there's not much more to say about this. It's worth pointing out that this does not mean that those characters have been decanonized and that we'll never hear from them again.
They haven't gotten the World Between Worlds treatment where fucking, I don't know, some white male savior comes in and says, no, you don't exist anymore. Yeah. And then Osha and May just poof into it.
They'll have Thanos show up with the Infinity Gauntlet, and that's how they'll bridge Star Wars and the MCU.
Yeah, exactly. Then Brie Larson can come in
and destroy everything.